ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षिभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवा गुंसस्तनूभिः यशेव देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नः साक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति. My younger student also has joined us. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let us start. Last time we had ended up by saying this the Omkara Upasana with the example of the bow and arrow. So the example we saw last time. Okay. In fact, there is a book written, I don't know if it's available now, called Zen and the Art of Archery. Okay. It outlines some of the things that I spoke last time. Okay. Some of the things that I spoke last time about how that whole emotional connect is made. Now in the example, there were 2-3 things that are important. Okay. One was the fact that emotional connect with your instruments, whatever instruments you are using. In that example, it was bow and arrow. Second, the mind being immersed in the target even before the physical action of releasing the bow. These are the 2 main points. Okay. So now, after having seen that much, the basic we have been clear, let us see what he says and accordingly apply it. Okay. Dhanur grihitva upanishadam mahastram sharam hi upasanishitam sannidhayat आयम्य तद्भावगतेन चेतसा लक्ष्यं ते एवाक्षरं सौम्य विद्धि. He says, Dhanur grihitva, take up the bow. Take up the bow. Okay. What bow? Upanishadam Mahastram, the great astra, the great weapon that is known from the Upanishad. Upanishadam. Okay. So the great bow from the Upanishad. Okay, the great bow from the Upanishad. What is that? He is referring to Omkara. Now Omkara is the bow. Okay. And Sharam hi upasanishitam sannidhiyat. Okay. Load the arrow. Okay. Mount the arrow, load the arrow, knock the arrow. Okay. What arrow is it? Okay. Upasa nishitam sandhiya. Upasena nishitam. You don't want a blunt arrow. No? Even for practice, you are not going to use a blunt arrow. You are going to use an arrow which is sharpened. That is sharpened by upasana. That is sharpened by your upasana. That means what? Before you do your Omkara Upasana, you should have already done some preparatory meditation. Okay. Because what is the arrow here? He says that, okay. The arrow which he says that, That we'll go in the next verse. He'll say, what is the arrow, what is this, etc. Then, ayamya tad bhavagatena chetasa. Tad bhavagatena, omkara bhavagatena, ayamya manasa chetasa, meaning manasa. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm coming to all of that. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So, ayamya tad bhavagatena chetasa. Draw the bow, draw the arrow. Once you have knocked it on the string, draw it so that the bow becomes like a circle. Draw it. Okay. Lakshyam tadeva aksharam saumya vidhi. And be one with the lakshya. Hey Saumya, dear one, be one with the lakshya. Now for this you have to clarify what is what. So he says, Pranavo dhanuhum. Pranavaha, the Omkara, is the dhanu, the bow. That means what? Omkara is a launching pad. Whatever you want to launch, the arrow, Omkara, for the missile of the arrow to go, Omkara is the bow, the launching pad. Alright. Sharo hi atma. Sharaha atmaha. Atma meaning your conceptual self here. Okay. Sharaha atma here is what you have taken yourself to be. That the seeker. Right now the seeker, the jignasu, the one who wants to know, the one who wants to own up the truth in his or her life. That person, Atma. Brahmata lakshaha. What is the target? Brahman is the target. Then apramattena vedavyam. Without any distraction, without any slackness. Apramattena vedavyam. Sharavat tanmayo bhavet. Like the arrow becomes one with the target, let your mind become one with Brahman. So this implies a few things, okay? This is just, he is given the description, bare minimum. Okay, bare minimum. So first the arrow has to be sharpened. Before you start this, the arrow has to be sharpened. How do you sharpen that? Right from Karma Yoga to Bhakti, to your acts of worship, to your Japa Dhyana, chanting Rudram, etc. All of that is part of the sharpening process. People want to straight away jump into Omkara chanting and then they'll say it doesn't work. It won't work. Your mind has to be ready for contemplation or nididhyasa. So when you talk about meditation, okay, in Vedanta, if you look at modern Vedanta, meditation just quietening the mind. As though in the quietening mind, Atma is going to reveal itself. Okay. It's good for the world if you quieten your mind. Why? From a restless idiot who is disturbing everyone, you'll become a quiet idiot, sit down in one place. Acha. But yeah, mind has to be relatively peaceful and quiet, centered. So that you already have to do with japa, etc. Karma Yoga. What is it that disturbs you in your meditation? Either you are worried about something, or you want something, so the desire, etc. Or some regrets, etc. Swami Chinmayanji used to put it very beautifully. Anxieties about the future and regrets about the past. Regret, guilt, etc. about the past, which is part of the psychological process that you do samadhama. People don't want to do samadhama, they just straight away want to jump into Vedanta and say, I want to master it. Mastering your mind, your discipline, all that is part of samadhama. including keeping your favorite food in the fridge and having one small bit at a time, especially with sweets or chocolate or something. Part of Dhamma. It is not about weight management. It's part of Dhamma. To keep it away, don't keep it at home only. That is very easy. And that is necessary in the beginning. Okay? In the beginning, that is necessary. If you are fond of sweets and you keep sweets at home, you will keep eating it. So one way of breaking it is you keep the sweets away. Dhamma. Because Sama is not yet there. But then once you have had that little distance, your mind is used to the fact that you are not going to eat sweets every day. Then the next step has to come. The sweets have to go into the fridge and you eat a little bit of it every day. Swamiji, that is very difficult. Okay, you eat a little bit more on one day, next 3 days don't eat it. Let it be in the fridge. How else are you going to handle Dhamma, I am telling you? People think discipline. This is the only way. We all have gone through it. I don't have a sweet tooth. I have 32 sweet teeth. So the question is, how you are going to handle it? So Dhamma is part of the game. After Dhamma, then Sama has to come in. Sama Dhamma. So, unless you can take care of Sama Dhamma, where are you going to sit down for meditation? That's all the sharpening. The arrow is being sharpened. Arrow is your mind. That arrow is being sharpened. Karma Yoga sharpens it. Why? No anxieties of the future. Regrets of the past. Psychological process of Sama. Whatever psychological process you need to do to take care of your regrets, take care of it. Including seeing the value that no point in having a regret. Starts from there. Yeah. What is the point in having a regret? Doesn't help anyway.
Voice is broken.
Who is talking? Are you having a question or just?
No, the voice is not breaking. We are very.
Okay, there's a bit of a problem here with respect to the Wi-Fi. So let us see how to handle that. Okay, I think now you can see me. You all can see and hear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that is the question. That Sama and Dhamma that you have is the base for meditation. the psychological process you have done with respect to your regrets, your hurt, your pain, your guilt. Guilt and pain are two things. You live 30 years in this world, you will get it. You will have some of it. Some guilt with respect to what I have done to others, and some pain with respect to what others have done to me. Unavoidable. These two emotions are unavoidable. Don't be in denial, deal with it, whatever has to be done. Yeah. So, whatever you need to do that, okay? Whatever you need to do in the question, you need to take care of it. Okay. Now once that is done, okay, and you are living a life of karma yoga, etc., then your anxieties, etc., are taken care of. Past is handled through your psychological work that you have done, samadhana, and anxieties, etc., taken care of at least manageable level with karma yoga buddhi. There will always be some things happening in your life which may make it a little bit out of balance. A loved one falling ill, for example, a hospitalization. Okay. Or someone is called up to the front. You have to fight a battle. Father, brother, spouse called up to the front. He's on tour. Naturally, there will be a certain amount of going off balance, and that's okay. That is where you strengthen your bhakti. Those are occasions for you to strengthen your bhakti, to strengthen your karma yoga buddhi. Bhakti by itself, unless it comes into your life, doesn't help much. It's easy for me to sit in my puja room and feel the bhakti. That's easy. Tera tere arpana Prabhu kya laghe mera, and you'll have tears also coming down. Kya laghe mera. But what happens in real life? When things go wrong, and things will go wrong, they are meant to go wrong. What can go wrong will go wrong. Okay. Peter principle. At that time you need to have that bhakti. Agreed. Thoda upar niche hoega, that's okay. That's all right. Some ups and downs is okay, understandable. So when this happens, this is all sharpening, okay? The sharpening he is talking about is all this. Then what about all your distractions all the time? As we say in martial arts, your focus can do with some more focus. Your focus, yes, you have focus. When you are watching a TV serial or something, both focus. Netflix, lot of focus. But what about other things? So, you have focus, but your focus could do with some more focus. That developing that focus, japa, etc., part of the game. All that is nishitam. Sharpening the blade, okay? Sharpening the arrow, sharpening your mind. Once you have got that, then you are ready for Omkar Upasana. For this little bit understanding of what Omkara is, I have talked about it before, but I think it's good time to mention it again. What exactly is Omkara? Omkara is the best phonetical symbol available for Brahman, both Nirgunam and Jagat Karanam. For Ishvara, best possible symbol. It is not language based, it is purely phonetic based. If you look at the Sanskrit alphabet, there is nothing like Om there. Yes, Swamiji, I know. It is Aum. So you actually say it Aum. That sounds like somebody yawning. I know some. I am surprised. Some people who are supposed to be great yogis and great yogi teachers with millions of followers say that. Aum. When we come to Mandukya, we will see that. Mandukya Upanishad talks, entire Upanishad is about Omkar. He talks about one single matra. One alphabet it says. Ekaksharam. One alphabet. Aum is not one alphabet. Swamiji used to joke. Puja Swamiji, Swami Brahmavidananda used to joke. He went to an ashram somewhere in Andhra Pradesh somewhere. Or modern Telangana, I don't know. Because the state has been split. So there, as soon as he and another person walked into the ashram and to meet the Mahant and prostrate and so normally when someone comes, you will ask, who are you, what are you, what is it? Some sort of getting to understand each other. But this Mathadipati, this Mahant, he said, let us first meditate. Somebody has walked in. Imagine what will happen to all of you if you come home to meet me and I say, first let us sit down and meditate. If you are pragmatic people, you will say, what is wrong? If you are gullible, you will say, oh my God, what a great Mahatma. Meditate करने का बिना कुछ नहीं करता है. Okay. Anyway, so they stand and he started his Om chanting like that. Aum, Aum. And Swamiji is saying, I could barely control my laughter. Okay. But he kept quiet. I mean, after all, he's gone to an ashram. Then the next morning, they were staying that night in the ashram. Next morning, they heard the same Aum from outside their window. So he looked out. And the ashram dog was saying the same thing. So Swamiji is now thinking, has the Mahant learned from this or has this learned from the Mahant? Okay, jokes apart. Why do I say Omkara is the best phonetical symbol for Ishvara? Ishvara is everything. This much we have understood. Even in Mundaka, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. Then non-dual, material and efficient cause for the whole universe. Okay. That means all forms are his forms. All forms can be named. So all forms are now all names. So which name are you going to use for Ishvara? You can't use an unknown name. Known name, if you use one name, you are leaving other things out. Because you name an object, you name a form to identify it. No? Book, phone, to identify. So by giving it one name, you are cutting off other objects. So if you use one name for Ishvara, all other things go out of the picture. So now what to do? You can't say all names. How do you say all names? You'll have to start listing. I doubt whether you're with the fastest computer you have, you can do it in a few hours. And so many things are unknown also. What about those things? 14 dimensions of creation. Kya karega? But our rishis very creative. Okay. All names, all objects can be named. All names are nothing but meaningful sounds. Correct? Is there any name without a sound? It won't exist. All names are nothing but sounds. All sounds for a human being, at least. For a whale, it is different. Okay, you're talking of human beings because this meditation is meant for human beings, not for a whale. For a whale, that forehead, na, that makes the sound, and that's a weapon. When a giant octopus comes and clings onto the whale, he just uses that sound and knocks off the whale, and knocks off the octopus, and then the whale will swallow the octopus whole. That's a weapon. Now we are not weaponizing anything, okay? We are now talking about human beings. So all sounds, as far as human beings are concerned, all names, sounds, come from the gullet, the evolution of the voice box, to the lips. All things are only here, from here to here. So you make a sound from the gullet without anything else. Simple sound. Close your mouth and make the final sound. Choose one sound to represent everything else. Ooh. Now say fast. All the three words will coalesce together, phonetically coalesce together to form Om. Swamiji, that's by Sandhi rules. Yeah. A plus U is O, and O plus is Om. But Sandhi rules are nothing but phonetical combinations. They are rules of phonetics. Sandhi is based on phonetics. That's how Sanskrit should be taught. Then it will become very interesting. Maja aayega padhne ko. Anyway, so this phonetical combination, you get one alphabet called Om. That means what? All sounds that a human being is capable of is represented by Om. That means all names are represented. All names represented means all forms represented. Can't be a better name for Omkara, for Ishvara. Ishvara is Om, Om is Ishvara. And Om was never meant to be written down. You know the diagram? It was never meant to be. One of Swamiji's devotees with great devotion gave me a Om made of gold, but I never wore it. I thanked them for it. I never wore it. It must be somewhere in my cupboard somewhere. Well, you're not supposed to write it down. I respected that person's devotion, but I said, you obviously not listened enough to Swamiji. That's why if you come to our ashrams and all, you'll never find Om written on the walls. Is that? You'll never find it. Not meant to be. It's supposed to be a pratika, a sound symbol, not a pratima. Little difference between two. A pratima is a murti. It has got a form, physical form. A pratika is only a sound. You are invoking Ishvara through sound. All your bijaksharas and etc. like that. Each bijakshara has a meaning like this. That's why you say no mantra is complete unless you add Om to it. Which is true. No mantra is complete unless you add Omkara to it. So now Omkara is nothing but Brahman. Omkara is nothing but Ishvara. So now how does it become the bow? You use Omkara to launch your mind. Omkara is now your symbol, sound symbol, mantra. You use that to take your mind to Brahman, because Omkara stands for Brahman. So when you say Om, what should you be thinking of? Either Ishvara or Brahman, not Om. Now can you see why it was never supposed to be written down? Because now when you say Om, you will think of the written word. Even in the Upanishad, if at all the Omkara was mentioned, it was written as Om, A becoming O and plus Makara. It was never written in that symbol. Therefore, Omkara is the name that you use to take your mind to Brahman. Your mind is the arrow. Now look at it. You have done your japa. Quieten your mind. In that quiet mind, you introduce the word Om. What does Om stand for? Brahman, Ishvara. Therefore, your mind becomes the arrow, na? Because of the word Om, the mind gets, for the time being, thinks of Brahman, thinks of Ishvara, becomes one with Ishvara, because Ishvara is not separate from you, Ishvara is not separate from your mind. So to think of Ishvara is to be Ishvara. To think of Brahman is to be Brahman. Ramana says that in Saddarshan. Sat pratyaya kinnu vihaya santam hriddeshu chinta rahita hridakya katam smarami tamameyam ekam tasya smriti tasya drideva nishtaha. The Sat, the pure existence, is the basis for all existence. How am I going to think of that Sat? He says, how can I think of it? To think of it is to become one with it. Because the mind cannot stand apart from Brahman, the reality that you are. Look at it. It is not a fact of your life. Because it's not a fact of your life, you do Omkara Upasana. What is that? Taking your mind again and again into Brahman. Immersing yourself in the reality. Here the bow and arrow example is used. Why? Because those days, many of the rishis and their students were kshatriyas, warriors. Okay. Upanishad was not a Brahminical domain. Okay. We find that Krishna saying in that Gita also, remember? I taught it to Manu, Manu taught it to Ishvaku, Manu taught it to Vaivasvatvan, Vaivasvatvan taught it to Ishvaku. Evam Raja Rishayo Vidu. They were kings and they were rishis, they knew the truth. So the Upanishad is full of stories where sometime a Kshatriya went and learned from a Brahmana Rishi, sometimes a Brahmana went and learned from the Kshatriya Rishi. It didn't matter. All these caste divisions are all later ideas, okay? There were some divisions. There were some divisions on the basis of functioning. Okay? Each respected the other for what it was. All this idea of dominance, etc., is much later, after the British rule. After the British rule. So, because of that, the bow and arrow example is used here. Could I use any example? My teacher prefers the Rasagulla example. Why? It's easier for the modern mind to understand that. You open the TV at any time and you surf half a dozen this thing, you will see some cookery show on it. Master Chef US, Master Chef Australia, Fridge and Chef, something or the other will be there. Food becomes very important in the modern mind. Though actually it shouldn't. Why? Food is so easily accessible now. No? So why should it become so important? If it is not easy to get, if you have to do everything from scratch, then food becomes important. Now at a drop of a hat you can order things. What is that? What are your food delivery channels? Swiggy
Swiggy.
and all that thing. Up to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the night they are delivering. Who wants to eat at 12 o'clock? But I guess there are madcap people who do that. Unhealthy. When they do that. Anyway, what I am trying to say is foodism. Therefore, Swamiji picked up the modern example, Rasagulla. First you make the gulla, then you immerse it in sugar syrup. So the gulla and the rasa becomes one. If they both become one, you get Rasagulla. If they are both separate, then it is not Rasagulla. Same way here, the arrow hits the target, becomes one with the target. No? The arrow doesn't stop 2 inches short of the target and hovers around in air. So it's meant to hit the target. It's the same way here. So what he is talking about here is Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. Sure Nididhyasana. You use an Omkara for your Nididhyasana, owning up the truth. Because the Upanishadic Rishi here recognizes the fact that everyone may not be able to listen and be free. An Uttamadhikari will. Ignorance is a problem. And if ignorance is a problem, knowledge is the answer. For knowledge, you need a pramana, a means of knowledge. The pramana is the Upanishad. And the pramana is used in teaching, in Shravanam. It is not used in meditation. Understand these things well. Okay? Otherwise, you will have a different philosophy altogether.
Maharaj, I have a question here. Can I ask?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay. So it is difficult to frame, but I'll still try. So, Omkar is a symbol to represent Ishvara or Brahman. It's a symbol.
Yeah.
So during meditation, the meditation is using the help of this Omkara. I am meditating on I am Brahman.
Exactly. So Omkara is just a tool for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So the meditation should ideally not be on the symbol, but rather on.
Definitely not on the symbol. On what the symbol stands for Brahman.
Right. Okay. And for that, sometimes I may need or may not need even the symbol. Is that right?
You can use anything. Yes, he is giving one form of meditation.
Understood.
You can use any other word that in your mind helps your mind to resolve in Brahman.
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, like the statement like I am all. Is that
Yeah.
fine?
I am everything. Yeah. Use whatever works for you.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is clear.
See, this is Nididhyasana. This is not, understand this is not just quietening the mind. In that
Right.
quietened mind, you are introducing a thought that I am Brahman.
Correct.
And that's important because without that, there is no Nididhyasana.
Correct.
As I said, in the quietened mind, nothing will happen. What will happen in a quiet mind? Nothing.
Okay.
Knowledge happens when a pramana is being used. I hope everyone here is clear on that. If you are not clear, ask. The pramana has to be used. That means the vision of the Upanishad has to be unfolded. That is done when you are listening. In Shravanam alone, that is done. It is not done in meditation. The problem is, there are certain, what do you call as, charismatic teachings, charismatic figures, modern and ancient both. One character says he felt the peaks of Velangani under his butt and he gained some meditative experience and he got it. Okay. I don't know what would have happened if he had connected with my feet. Nice, good. Probably you would have seen more stars. Another guy sat down under a tree. See, if you look at that Buddha story, the original charismatic person, if you look at Buddha's story, for example, it's important to understand these things, Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree and meditated and he gained knowledge. Because he gained knowledge, the tree was called Bodhi tree, okay? So now you should see in Bodh Gaya, people go and sit down under the tree and meditate, hoping something will come through. It is not the tree that created it. It is what Buddha was exposed to that created it. Now, Buddha, there was a serious problem. What is the problem? He was a very well-known figure before he walked out. Okay. Tomorrow, once my ashram comes up, our ashram comes up, and Modi says he wants to come and stay there as one of the students. Will it be healthy for the ashram? I'm sure he'll make a great student, okay? He has got a lot in him already. He has lived like a sadhu in Rishikesh, so he knows what it's about. But what will happen to the ashram? Halat ho jayega. First the security, then the crowds coming. It'll go haywire. It'll go haywire. Like what happens to Coimbatore when Rajinikanth comes to Coimbatore. Crowds are waiting outside for his darshan. But the guy is smart. He did one thing. He told all the people. He went out and addressed this people. He says, morning, evening, I'll come out and meet you all. Don't come inside and disturb the ashram. So with Buddha also there was the same problem. He was a king, a prince, waiting for his coronation, and he walks out. And he passed through Bimbisara's kingdom, and that king says, if you find the truth, please come and tell me what it is about. He is a Rajaguru. He could have studied from the Rajaguru, no? Why should he wait for someone to gain realization, then come back and teach him when a Rajaguru is available? Why does he have to wait over so many years? Because it took a long time for Buddha, okay? When he came back to his kingdom after self-realization, his son was an adult. His son, a newborn baby that he had left, was an adult. So anyway, so Buddha never had a single teacher. Because he knew, problem ho jayega ashram, wherever I go. So he used to go, listen to some people, discuss with some people, then go sit down and contemplate on all that he had heard. What is this, what is that, mananam, niti, that's what happened. Then there would be doubts, etc. He would go back, do some more shravanam, then he'll come back and contemplate. This was his lifestyle. After he had finished with his tapas and everything, all that starving, fasting and all he had done after all that, this is what he used to do. And one day, and when he used to sit and contemplate, if you read the Buddhist books, they'll say lot of demons would attack him. What do the demons attack him? Mental. All his samskaras, all his this thing, all his ragadveshas, all of that, which he had to by vichara clear off. And then one day it all clicked, it all fell into place. I am fine. Buddha never made it experiential. Later teachers make it experiential. Buddha never made it experiential. He said you must live a contemplative life. That's all he meant. Yukta ahara viharasya, that is the basis for his eightfold path. So when he did this, people misunderstood that in meditation you gain knowledge. Tragic. When the Upanishad is very clear. Shrotavya, mantavya, nidithyasitavya. For what? Atma darshanam. So what you need is Atma darshanam. If Shravanam is enough, fine, job is done. No, I have too many doubts. Mantavya. I don't feel anything. It's not a part of my life yet. Nidithyasitavya. It depends upon what you need. If you look at the Upanishad, how many hours did Shvetaketu meditate after he listened to the truth from his father? How much time did Arjuna spend in meditation after the Gita was over? Battle awaits. Let us roll. Yeah. To horse, my royal liege, your foe stands on the strand. Full 20,000 glittering spears, the king of nose commands. What 20,000? 11 Akshami stand on the strand. Yeah. Yeah. You have to take lead, roll into battle. Where is the time? Maybe meditate karega for the realization to happen. And that is not true. We have heard in the Gita. Nashto mohas. The delusion is gone, he says. Finished, I'm ready, I'm fine. The person who said, I can't hold on to my bow, that was his condition. Because that existential angst was too much. The bow leaps back into his hands. So, we didn't spend time in meditation. I have said this often and I will never hesitate to repeat it because people have this myth in their minds that it all works only in meditation. This is the wrong thinking. Is meditation necessary? For 99% of the people who are studying Vedanta, yes, it is necessary. Both preparatory meditation and owning up meditation. Preparatory meditation is your japa, dhyanam, etc. or any other upasanas that you are doing, like manasa puja, etc. All that is preparatory. The more you do preparatory, the less you require nididhyasana. The less you have done preparatory work, the more you require nididhyasana. So if you have a contemplative mind, you won't require it. But most of us are not contemplative. Our modern lives, we are running around multitasking a dozen different things simultaneously. Isn't it? I mean, take someone who's in their 40s, 50s right now. You have to take care of your work, your home, your job. You have to look after your children. You have to pay attention to your parents. What all is there in your life? What contemplative mind is? I mean, what contemplative mind you are talking about? You are running around. And if you get a few minutes to sit down, you are probably feeling sleepy. Or you need a cup of tea. Why? थोड़ा जान आने के लिए. This is life. So that is why the modern mind will require nididhyasana. So initially nididhyasana is difficult. So do preparatory work. Japa, dhyanam, etc. I always taught it. So do that japa, dhyanam, do that. Once you do that, the mind is ready to contemplate on the truth. So it is not that contemplation on the truth always has to be sitting down and after meditation. Omkara. Okay. Having a cup of tea, okay? All that is there is Om. I am the eater and the eaten both. The drinker and the drunken. Yeah, correct. Yeah. The mouth is nothing but Brahman. The one is that is drinking the tea and the act of drinking. All there is nothing but Brahman. The idea is immerse your mind in Brahman. There is an imagery given here of archery because there is common knowledge at that time. Even people who are non-archers, remember all of them went through Gurukula system. When you went through Gurukula, there were always the boys who wanted to be warriors practicing there. The Kshatriyas were always there in the Gurukula. Basic learning was happening there. So you mean to say, when bows and arrows are being used, a boy who was going to be a businessman wouldn't want to go and try it out once? Just imagine 12-year-old guy, 13-year-old guy. He wouldn't want to try a bow and arrow. He's going to be a businessman, but will he not at 13 want to go and try? देखिएगा कैसा है. Or a Brahmana boy who is going studying to be a priest, you think he will not want to go and try it? Oh no, that's all act of violence. I want to know. That is modern day time. In America, you are banning violent toys. Toys which are guns and things like that. You are trying to ban. But actual guns you can buy very easily. Wrapped up thinking. Playing with a toy gun does not make you violent. We all did it. Does it make us violent? It's all idiotic leftist thinking that's coming. Woke thinking. So, everyone tried bows and arrows sometimes or the other. Because ultimate weapon was bow and arrow. Of those days. I mean, there were other weapons, dozens of weapons, okay? From the stick to the sword to the dagger to the long dagger, short daggers, spears, javelins, lances. 20 different varieties of swords were there. But a battle was won by bows and arrows, predominantly. Others were only when it became close quarter. So, because the bow and arrow was familiar at that time, they used that example. The example is what? Emotional connect, being one with the target. Same way. Emotional connect, your bhakti, etc., your devotion, etc. That's why the Vedanta teaching does not happen without Ishvara. Some modern teachers try to bring in without Ishvara. You may not use the term Ishvara. You may not use the term Bhagavan, but you will have to use some other term to bring it in. Saguna Brahman, you will have to say. What is Saguna Brahman? Jagat Karnam Brahman. I mean, what else is it? Karthik had a nice joke on it. Karthik is there in the class, okay? Karthik, I am going to use your joke, okay? He says, Jagad from Archie Comics went and studied Vedanta. So Archie asked him, are you really a Vedantin now? You are studying Vedanta now? What have you studied? He says, I know Brahman and Maya are my parents. How is that? Because Brahman is Jagad Karnam Brahman. If you all get it. Okay. So similarly, you will have to use some term. If not Ishvara, you will have to use Jagat Karnam. You will have to use Saguna Brahman. But without that, there is no way of teaching Vedanta. Therefore, the Omkara Upasana is about that. You are using Omkara for Nididhyasana. You can use anything else also. Whatever you are familiar with, whatever in the teaching has caught. There are some words that will always say, this is it. You will get those aha moments, Yeah, oh yes, today there was a great class, you will say. Why was it a great class? Because something's clicked for you. Some other class was a great class for someone else. Why? Something else clicked for that person. I had a young girl who used to come to my class. After every class you come. Swamiji, आज घंटी बज गई. आज घंटी बज गई. कल भी वही बोला था घंटी बज गई करके. So क्या हर दिन घंटी बज जाता है क्या? Anyway, the thing is, something will click. Any class, something or the other will click. And what clicks, use that. Certain things will click. Yeah. So whatever has clicked, that gave you that insight, work on that insight in Nididhyasana. For that, preparatory meditation first, okay? Otherwise your mind will not stand in Nididhyasana. It will go all over the world. Jagat Karanam Brahma. Then you will think of the Nyaya you have learned. Karanam or Karanam. Asadharanam Karanam Karanam. So what is Asadharanam Karanam? What are you doing? Nididhyasanam or talking about Nyaya? Jagat Karanam Brahman. Karanam, cause, yeah, cause. But everything is about cause effect only, na? What is the cause for this character creating this problem for me all the time? Why? Your mind is a disturbed mind. Your mind has not done enough preparatory work, so do a little bit of that. Keep those things away. Keep those things away. So at the seat of meditation, you have to say, the world can wait. Okay. The world can wait. Nothing is going to happen for the next 20 minutes that I can't handle after this 20 minutes. And Swamiji, I have kept milk on the stove. Off it before you start meditation. Only an idiot will put milk on the stove and start meditating. क्या करूँ बोलना पड़ता है ये सब, because I have heard all these different stuff from all the Brihaspatis who are there. So if you do it this way, develop a bit of contemplation, and then go into Nididhyasana. There is no reason the truth will not be a fact of your life. It's easy for the truth to be a fact of your life. When you start Vedanta, you think, oh, it will take lifetimes. It can. How do you know this is not your last lifetime? Because you are here means you have been there before. If you are here today, it means you have been there before. So why should this not be your last lifetime? Krishna is giving a reassurance in the Gita that if you miss it this lifetime, you will pick it up next time. That's just to take care of your anxiety. Don't worry, nothing is lost. No study of Vedanta is ever lost. You will pick up the threads again. That's what it is meant for. It is not meant to postpone everything. But Swamiji, now I become old, अब तो बिल्कुल बूढ़ा हूँ, गोली खाकर जीता हूँ, तो क्या हो गया? Shankara says 1 foot in the grave is also okay. You can still get it. Sthitvapi antakalepi, he says. Even if you are in the last moments of your life, if you have got this vision, you are free. You may not have had the time enough to enjoy the status of a Jivan Mukta. Enjoy the world with this knowledge. That you may not have, because you gain the knowledge, you settle down. You said, I am free, okay. And then within a few days you had a heart attack or a cardiac arrest and you went. So you didn't have enough time as a Jivan Mukta. But that doesn't mean you are not free. Yeah, you are a Jnani. Last day was living in freedom, dying in freedom. Therefore no birth, no death. So this Nididhyasana is not a pramana. But the pramana janya jnanam, the knowledge that you have gained in pramana, you are making it your own in Nididhyasana. So it's necessary for 99% of the people, necessary. I can't say for everyone, because there are always students who can walk out free. I have not met any yet. Okay, I have not met any yet. Even my teacher's generation, I have not met any who just heard it and walked away free. All sadhus recognize there is a need for some contemplation. That's why you don't ask a sadhu, where do you stay? In Rishikesh, you never ask a sadhu, where do you stay? Maharaj ji, aapke asan kahan hai? Where have you kept your seat of meditation? sadhu language, okay? Yeah. Because you are recognizing the need for meditation in your life. Most of us require it. I required it. I know my teachers required it. I know their grand teachers also required it. I know that much. So I don't see any reason why my students don't require it, okay? Yeah. So spend some time. Now that you have got sufficient insights, don't wait for more and more studies to start Nididhyasana. At least start with Japa Dhyana. That I have taught you all of you, barring maybe one or two. All others know what Japa Dhyanam is. Be regular in that. Few minutes, 10 minutes also fine, but 10 minutes is 10 minutes. Bring in Karma Yoga Buddhi into your lives. And then 10 minutes of Japa Dhyanam, then you will do. Then slowly you will get 5 minutes of Nididhyasanam also into it. So once that happens, knowledge is yours. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Okay. With that, I think, yep. Yeah. The contemplation, that 2 verses dealing with contemplation we are done. Now, next Friday is, yeah? Anyone has a question? Yeah, Bharati.
Yes. Where did the Omkara Pratika come from?
Omkara? Pratima come from? I don't know. Somebody must have done it. We don't know for sure.
Because now it is not possible for me
I know.
at least to
It has become a
think of
Pratima only.
Om and not visualize that
Yeah.
Om.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know the origin. Some champion must have started doing it that way. Yeah, some champion must have started. And the mistake gets perpetuated. Yeah. So now I said it's right. I'm telling you now, people, after listening to Puja Swamiji, this person gives me an Omkara. Now what to tell? I respected the devotion, but I can't wear it. I'm not going to wear it. I'm not even going to keep it in my puja room. Unless it's inside the box. Then it is okay. Because I don't want to reinforce that idea in my mind. So that's where it is. Okay, next class we will spend some time on Japa and Nididhyasana before we go into the text, etc. Okay. So I have to decide how to have the next class. Okay, I may have to be in Shankaramatam for some time, but Shankaramatam they will be too noisy for me to have a class. I will juggle around, find a place to have the class and balance the class and the puja, that homa that is going to happen. I'll balance it out, not a problem. Okay. Whatever happens, I will let you all know on the group. That means there are people here from this group, Matunga group, from the Vedanta class group, and Bandra group also, right? Yeah. So I'll put it up on all the 3 groups, whatever we are having. Okay. If you don't get any message, check and we'll know.
Also the Gurubhyo Namah group.
Beg your pardon?
Also from the Gurubhyo Namah group.
Gurubhyo Namah group. Yeah, there are a couple of people coming from that group. Yeah, we will do that. Okay. Good place to stop. Om Tat Sat.